What an incredible day. Anyway, you know me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Deputy Principal of the school. Marie Flannery is my name. And you're all so welcome. It's kind of surreal that it's come to this at this point. We're, you know, after so many years. And we are all coming from different corners of the country, from different places in our heads, from every kind of a space that's out there. But we all have a common purpose today, and that's to celebrate. And to celebrate this magnificent achievement, and to celebrate the people who made it possible. I suppose we all know how long it's taken, a considerable length of time without a doubt, over 20 years. I actually think it would have been an awful shame if this hall got built in 2 years or 3 years, because of the journey, because the journey was special, and friendships were built, and bonds were formed, and we had great fun. And today wouldn't be half as exciting if this only took 2 years. So you're all so welcome. A very warm welcome to past and present parents, to the past and present staff, and to the past and present students of Salerno. The warmest of welcomes to the Most Reverend Bishop Brendan Kelly. Sister Gerarda, of course you're welcome in your own sports hall. To Pauline and Eilish Humphreys from the trustees, from the Lakela Trust. To all the Sisters of Jesus and Mary. And congratulations also to the sisters who celebrate a wonderful 200 years since they were founded in the order. To the present and former chairpersons of the Board of Management, Katrina Connaughton, Michael Mooney and Ray O'Connor. To the building team, Brendan Slevin, the Chief Engineer, PJ Loughlin, the builder, and Michael Weir from Sprung Structures. To Father Paul Connell, Principal of St. Finian's College in Mullingar. To the local principals and deputy principals, to all the Galway businesses and members of the businesses who supported us, to all our neighbours, to all our friends, a warm welcome. I may have escaped some of you that today is actually National Poetry Day, but I thought I'd remind you anyway. And some of you know me, I kind of sometimes get a bit emotional, so forgive me. I have a poem I'd like to read that I think sums up. It's short. I just think it sums it up. It sums up the journey, it sums up the building, and that's for me. You may think, no, she has a clue. But I'm going to read this poem by Seamus Heaney. And it's about more than just the building. So forgive me if I get emotional. The girls know me, so I do sometimes. They're ready. My wing woman, my deputy wing woman here, Lucy, is going to mind me if I do. So, I'm not emotional yet. I'm just So it's a poem by Seamus Heaney, and it's called Scaffolding. Masons, when they start upon a building, are careful to test out the scaffolding. Make sure that planks won't slip at busy points. Secure all ladders, tighten bolted joints. And yet, all this comes down when the job's done, showing off walls of sure and solid stone. So if, my dear, there sometimes seems to be old bridges breaking between you and me, never fear. We may let the scaffolds fall, confident that we have built our wall. So it is more than the building. It's those bonds that we have formed. The afternoons program will take about an hour, just in case you think this this one's going to go on and on and on, we never get out of here. About an hour, maybe an hour, 10 minutes at the most. So sit back and enjoy. You're 20 years selling tickets, dancing, hopping, collecting, backpacking, and now or more won't make any difference. I'm going to start now by introducing some of our school's sporting stars. You know, when we talked about opening the hall, we were saying, who could we bring in that's athletic and that's representative of a sporting great and all that, and we have so many of them in the school. We said, why would we go anywhere except to our own students? So I'm going to introduce you to some of our greats, some of our girls who represent Ireland on the international stage. We pay tribute to these girls. We thank them for their commitment, the commitment they show to their discipline and to their sport. And I'm going to call them out, and you'll see them for yourselves. We have some absent sports people who are, in Florida, representing Ireland abroad, well for them. And our TY girls are on work experience this week, so we missed them today. So our absent cheerleaders who represent Ireland on the world stage are Maeve McManus, Alison O'Connor, Alina O'Reilly, Quiva Rice, and Maya Banerjee. So we wish them well in their absence. Our karate girls, Alva Murphy and Rachel Dunleavy, our swimmer, Keela Mulhall, and our water polo player, Maeve Colleran. None of those can be with us today, but we send them good wishes wherever they are. To those athletes who are with us today, I'm going to introduce you to them. Our basketball players, sisters Alison and Lisa Blaney. Lisa just got word yesterday that she made the final 12 in the under-16 Ireland team. Our Olympic gymnasts who train with the Olympic Star Squad, Jane Heffernan and Kate Malloy. These two girls spend up to 26 hours a week training in their discipline. Sarah Dunleavy, our international hockey player. Sarah was in France over the Easter and is most proud of the fact that she captained the under-16 team last year, now a member of the under-18 squad. Our Irish dancers, who have been to the Worlds 3 times, Glasgow, Dublin and Glasgow, Sarah O'Connor, Ella O'Connor and Rebecca Keane. Our soccer player, Sive Doyle. She scored 1 million goals for her club, Galway Women's Club. Ironically, she plays defence for the country. Our water polo girls, Sarah Bradley and Isabel Ryan. With 8 seconds left in a very important match, Sarah Bradley managed to save the day when the ball hit off her head and deflected away from the goal. And Isabel is one of the very few kiddos, that's left-handers to hand persons, on the team. And she thinks that helped her get onto the team because it seems to be an advantage. So to all our international athletes, we are so proud of you. We wish you well in all your endeavours, and we thank you for your commitment to your sport and for being such outstanding students. They're waiting for photos. Thank you. We have a video coming up now. The video takes about 10 minutes. Okay, if it goes over 10, it's only 10 and 40 seconds, all right? But that's it. So it's for 10 minutes you can sit back. And for those of you who remember the old Late Late Show, I'm just going to say, roll it there, Colette.
We had such fun, all of the challenges, and there were such a great friendships, and the friendships have grown. Without Gerarda's fate, none of these would have happened. The girls were 100% in front of me rather than behind me. Without the Salerno staff, it couldn't work. To be honest, without Mike, it couldn't have worked either. He was enthusiastic, that was Mike. It was an unbelievable experience, and it was what Salerno is all about. You can overcome anything, really. If there is a way, you'll find it, and if there isn't a way, you make it. And the girls, when you meet them now, and you say, you know, do you remember when we were in Salerno? They all say, do you remember the challenge? And that's really what it's about.
I feel so proud of this hall and the ownership that we're taking of it now, and how this is something that came as a result of a lot of laughs, a lot of sweat and pain and tears even on occasions. I remember counting pennies in Fort Eyre with June and Mike Smith, and those pennies are now in the building that's standing behind me. And my biggest memory is the friendships and the bonds that we formed, and I think if it hadn't taken the struggle that it took to get it, we'd never be as proud of it. And I was a student of Salerno when there was no sports hall. We dreamed of it back then, and that dream has become a reality.
I'm so proud and privileged to have been part of the Salerno School Hall dream. Salerno has always been a community and working together. My involvement along the way was very exciting and fulfilling. So much about our days working in the 50-50 stand out. The business excitement that came to school every week was so tangible, and we all worked together with the view to furthering the action towards building the hall. So a big thank you to every student who took part. My wish for each of you students is that you'll be as happy in this hall as we were over the years fundraising and planning, and we're so proud today to see the dream come true.
It was a lot of work, a lot of effort. It's worth it because of the hall. I will never forget it. It was that grateful. I'm happy.
I feel like this sports hall is a bit of a legacy left for the future generations by the past peoples that worked so hard to achieve what we did achieve and what we built for the school and the future generations. And it's a little legacy left for them to experience and to use.
Oh God, where to start?
There was a 50-50.
Yeah, I think everyone knows
about 50-50, yeah. It was like every single week when we were in first and second year.
And all of the first years were encouraged to sell tickets to their neighbours and their families. This happened every week, and then there was a big kind of ordeal every Friday where they did the big lotto draw, so everyone got really excited for that.
And it's so cool to think like 7 years ago we were pestering people to buy 50-50 tickets, and now we're sitting in the sports hall. We weren't expecting it to be this cool at all.
But now looking at it, you're like, it looks nothing from the outside what it is on the inside.
This is such an asset for the school, and I think it's just going to benefit every single person that has anything to do with Salerno.
It's really the realisation of a dream. It's absolutely magnificent. And it was getting the money that took all the years. Well, I always came away from the management meetings that we had saying, there's a great bunch of people there. They're really committed. Financially, it secures the school because now they don't have to be renting. So that's going to be a significant thing. And I hope that'll be a bright future for the school, because now there's a much more rounded school. There are fine facilities, and I think the hall here behind us really adds another dimension to it. Miracles happen, and they happened here, and it's great. The end result is terrific.
This hall makes a massive difference to the whole Salerno community. We now have the opportunity for all of our teams to train in a facility on our own grounds. It's been a long road for everyone in the Salerno school community to get the hall to this stage where it's now up and running. There's probably been times in my time here in Salerno where we thought it was going to happen, then we thought it wasn't going to happen. But we always kept the faith and always believed that eventually we would get there, and to the hard work and dedication of so many people who are part of the Salerno community, both past and present, we are where we are today. It's a well-established fact that the students who are physically active will do better academically, and Salerno has always had a fantastic reputation academically. Now we have this facility, which means that we'll be even better, in my opinion, going forward in terms of sporting prowess. So it's absolutely fantastic.
It's a state-of-the-art facility. It's a super facility to have here on site, where we used to have to go off-site to do any training in a smaller, unofficial size court. So now we can have our matches here, and we can host other schools, and a lot of other schools that come from all around the country have commented on the facility when they've come in. They've said how bright it is and how nice it is.
Greetings from Michaela. On behalf of the Trust, I'd like to congratulate Salerno on this wonderful project of building a new sports hall. It's a great tribute to the whole school community that you were able to raise the funds and do all the necessary work to build this from scratch with very little grant aid. I'd like firstly to pay tribute to Sister Gerarda for her determination to overcome all the challenges and pursue this great dream. The chair of the board at the time, Michael Mooney, also deserves great credit for his belief in the school and his determination to bring this project to fruition. He and the board worked very hard to explore all the possibilities to get funding, to follow all the correct procedures and formalities, and get the best possible value for money. Fundraising is never easy, and parents, teachers, students, and the board all deserve great credit for their Herculean efforts in this regard. When a concrete structure seemed out of reach financially, a great creative idea was posed by one of the teachers, which has resulted in this wonderful hall that we have here today. Last but not least, a big thank you to the Jesus and Mary sisters, Sister Mary Mulrooney in particular, for their wonderful, very generous financial contribution, which now allows the school to relax a little in terms of fundraising. I've no doubt that students, staff and members of the local community are already enjoying this great facility. I wish you all the best and many years of very enjoyable physical activity and games in this lovely new sports hall. Congratulations again to all involved.
to acknowledge Brian Fogarty. And to all those who took part and contributed to the lovely messages. It's time now for our next speaker. I mean, this has been a journey. There's nobody in the room that will deny that. And but throughout the journey, there was one constant. Board of managements came, they went. You know, parents' councils came, they packed, they sold tickets, they went. Staff came and went. Students came and went. But in the middle of the busy school life, one person stayed and saw this through to this. You know, I'd go into the office all busy about some policy or other or something that had to be done, and Gerard would be in the office and she'd say, I'm just after sending another email to the department. And I go, and the next day another email, just off the phone to Eilish. Oh, I'm meeting Michael now later on. And so it was, she was there, and nobody was getting out of this without the hall being built. So the one constant, tirelessly campaigned, never gave up. A testament to the wonderful, inspiring woman that she is, our principal, Sister Gerard.
Today is a little bit different. I think dreams are made of this, and like as a few people have said before me, who would have thought 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that this day would come? I did. Somewhere I believed it. Somewhere I kept saying it. I might have doubted along the way. And so did many others who believed with me and dreamed with me. And would you believe I came across an A5 brown envelope the other day, and my name was on it with June Smith's handwriting, and I think it was probably written about 15 years ago, and there was a 2-page typed letter inside about all the things that should be in a sports hall if we ever built it. And everything that's in the letter is here and better today, but there's one sentence she used. Money or the shortage of it should not stop Salerno getting the best possible facility. As you know, we can make money. How true. So really this afternoon is such a proud and special moment for me personally, surrounded by so many of you who played such a huge part in realising what we have today. And above all, this day is a chance for me to say thank you. And thank you will never be enough. Except that now you see the fruits of your labour as we gather in this new sports hall. Those of you who were involved, I think the video brought you back. But take a moment later on to browse through the photo stands here in the hall. They will jog your memory too. And please tell yourself that you played a part in making this facility a reality. I just couldn't even name people, but there were so many parents, past pupils, former, present staff, parents' councils, boards of management, local businesses. They all put Trojan work into fundraising and supporting Salerno over so many years. And as you saw, memories of students, parents and staff selling tickets to grannies, granddads, friends, neighbours, families, whoever might be just unfortunate enough to cross their path really. Past staff and pupils here today will remember all these events. And it's lovely to have the present leaving certs here, because they were first years in the 50-50 days. And I could see them walking around the hall, looking at the tickets, looking at the drum. Competitions were held at that stage to see which class made the most money. Trips were organised for winning classes. And I just see Sister Anne walking in there now. They were delayed in traffic. And she was one of the biggest competitors in running a class competition. Tickets were sold, and indeed some without permission at times, outside places like Pierce Stadium. There were people coming to see their county play. They probably wondered who these students and teachers and parents were, but sure, what was another £5 or £10? So the buckets came away full. And I do know for a fact that there was no permission to stand outside Pierce Stadium in those days. We heard that afterwards. There were Christmas fairs, summer fetes in June and Mike's house in Fort Erin in Salerno. Coley and June's late husband, Mike, you'd want to have seen them. They painted props, reindeers, sleds, they made snowmen, stages, wheelbarrows. Coley acted as Santa on several occasions. And we really cannot forget those days. Or, as we saw, the entire school community walking across the 3 bridges of Galway in different coloured t-shirts. And students, parents, staff, it really was a colourful occasion when all students on the 3 bridges stood and looked at each other across the 3 bridges. It was actually quite amazing. We had to have people at the paths to get them across the road in case they'd be knocked down by the traffic. An overnight run on the prom at the Gardaí, a night of the dogs as you saw the breakdown track. Ronan Keating arrived in the grounds of the Ardelon with the whole school gathered. And I see Alan Keating here today. The only problem about Ronan Keating was his helicopter landed in the Dominican College. Problem with the trees, the pilot said. Taylor's girls thought all their birthdays had come together. Ronan Keating in their schoolyard at lunchtime. The Taylor's principal at the time was having a fit about the unannounced arrival of a helicopter in their school grounds. And meanwhile, 600 plus Salerno students and staff and parents waiting patiently in the Ardelon for Ronan. But he came, as you saw. As did the Saw Doctors on another occasion in Salerno Front Hall, and as a result, Salerno students ensured that year that the Saw Doctors reached #1 with their album. Many of these huge fundraising ventures were spearheaded by June Smith and her beloved Mike. Then more recently, and I see a number of people here, we had the Thousand Air night, we had our Strictly Come Dancing night, where teachers and parents had to train, if you don't mind, for weeks beforehand so that they could produce the dancing you saw there. And not to forget the 5K runs on the prom. And all through all of this, local Galway businesses, too numerous to mention, and many of you are here today, they were just so generous. They believed in the dream with us. And we are just so much in your debt as well. I could go on forever. And all of this in the name of Salerno Sports Hall. So today I say students, parents, past and present, staff, past and present, this is your sports hall. Today, wherever you are, here or abroad, you can be proud. Some may not have seen this reality. Some sadly are not with us anymore. But they are all fondly remembered for their singular contribution to what we have here. And to the students here today, and it's great to see so many, they could have had a half day, and it's testament to the students who are actually here, and I know those who are not will know they missed something. But I want you to know that your sports hall was such a long time coming, and it's here now thanks to hundreds of students like yourself who fundraised and believed that it would be built during their time. I don't know how many times I stood in front of first-year parents and said, your daughters will have the sports hall next year. And God help them, they believed me, every single one of them. And actually none of them did have it until very recently. But as Alva said in the video, future students will benefit from this state-of-the-art facility. And I'm just so happy about that. And during those long fundraising years, I believe the spirit of Salerno came alive. As Carol said and Marie said, the best was brought out in people young and old. The times, the atmosphere, the sense of togetherness was just tangible, electric, really palpable. Salerno doing what it does best, and no price can be put on that. And actually, as I look around, I can see the emotion in the eyes of staff, parents and board members, past and present. You know, you were there, and now we're here. And I'm also happy to say that this facility is being used after school by local sporting groups and individual fitness classes under the management of Peter Heaney and Enda Gaffney at the Sports Dome. And I think that's a wonderful facility for the wider group of Galway. But the completion of this sports hall could not have happened without the background people. And some of them were indeed very much to the forefront as well. Sharon Cleeson in the Department of Education. She fought our corner. Other people tell me she didn't fight their corner, but she did fight mine. She matched our fundraising monies in the early stages with the same amount. Now mind you, it wasn't nearly enough, but the real hope of a sports hall began at that moment. Having said that, I would say Sharon is very glad that this nun in Galway is finally out of her hair. No more phone calls from Salerno, and she can happily shred all the pleading letters that she received in the department over almost 20 years. But indeed, I spoke to her yesterday and she sent us her best wishes and was sorry she couldn't be here today. I acknowledge also the members of the former boards of management, members who sat on those boards, spent endless hours looking at how, what, when, and if only. I mention Eilish Humphreys from the Lekela Trust, whom you heard there and who's here with us today. I could never thank her enough for her belief in and support for our project, and indeed her personal support to me. To Paul Meany, chairperson of the financial arm of Lekela, the money man. You will hear from him later. But I believe Eilish spoke to him on our behalf, behind the scenes, on a number of occasions. I can't prove it, but I believe she did. It was both of you and your board of directors who gave the final approval for this project. So here today, publicly, I say, we just are so grateful. The Jesus Mary congregation, under the leadership of Sister Mary Mulrooney, who's also here with us, your financial generosity helped us enormously recently, and we again say thank you for that. But at a personal level, I want to thank those who supported me through some of the most challenging moments of the last number of years. Margie Connolly, my former deputy principal, who soldiered with me through extremely difficult times, and Sister Angela, school chaplain, an ever-present support to me in Salerno. Marie Flannery, my current deputy and right hand, whose constant encouraging phrase, which she learned from her dad, "Gerardo, what's for you won't pass you." This has kept me, and indeed still keeps me going so often. She's our MC today and she's already doing a fantastic job, and note later, she even has keys on her dress, if you look closely. How fitting. To my Jesus and Mary community in Lenamoy Gardens, and in particular, I want to thank Sister Maria, whose friendship, wisdom and listening ear were the reasons that I personally survived on so many occasions throughout this long process. To Ray O'Connor, chairperson of the Board of Management for the 9 of those tough, no-money fundraising years, always encouraging and believing in the possibility. This group here today has no idea the endless meetings with many different groups of people, some of whom are here, researching so many avenues of possible income streams, and the money, we just didn't have it, and we couldn't begin the project. So Ray, thank you. Katrina Connaughton, who advised us so wisely a number of years ago financially in the early days of the project as to what we could do or couldn't do to find money. And recently she's taken a position as chairperson of the Board of Management. But there is one person without whom this sports hall would never have been built. Michael Mooney, chairperson of the Board of Management until last October, Michael guided us at every stage from the beginning, running endless board meetings and other meetings, redesign, cast, cautious but optimistic, wanting every aspect to be so right, carefully scrutinising the design, planning and construction stage by stage. And I see Brendan Slevin, the consulting engineer, smiling up at me, almost to say yes, I know only too well. But I take this opportunity to publicly acknowledge Michael for his enormous contribution. None of us in Salerno could ever thank him enough for time given and expertise shared. When finances were eventually lined up and the project started, he walked the site daily with his watchful professional eye, anticipating problems and then finding a way around them, always staying within the tight budget, which a lot of times meant saying no to me, advising from his decades of experience until the sports hall was built. So Michael, you too have to be so proud today. I personally salute you and say thank you from all of us here. This truly is a great day for Salerno. So to all who made this dream possible, once again, I finally say thank you, thank you, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I hope you all have a lovely afternoon. Sure, no words could follow that. I feel sorry for those of you left to come up and speak. What an incredible day, Gerarda. Thank you. Now, Katrina, where are you, Katrina? You poor thing, you're next after this. Wonderful, wonderful words from Sister Gerarda. So right now I'm going to introduce Katrina Connaughton. She's the present chair of our Board of Management, former CEO of the Fintrax Group, a BCom and MBA graduate of NUI, former general manager of the Advertiser, immersed in business and all aspects of it for many, many years, and decided to retrain as primary school teacher. But we are privileged and lucky to have her as chairperson of our Board of Management. Katrina, you're very welcome.
I won't keep you long. Invited guests and friends, on behalf of the current Board of Management, I would just like to publicly acknowledge the leadership, commitment and absolute determination of Sister Gerarda and her teams in getting the sports hall financed, built and ready for this launch here today. As Gerarda already alluded to, there is one key person who was in the right place at the right time, who enabled and ensured brick by brick that this project was successful and completed to an internationally high standard. I wish to acknowledge and introduce my predecessor, Michael Mooney.
Holy mother of God. I thought this was going to be a quiet affair. Just something small, says Sister Gerarda in her usual way. And then you're suddenly sucked into something you didn't realise you were yourself involved in. However, some time ago, over 10 years ago, a man arrived at my door in a wet winter evening and said to me when he came into the kitchen that he wanted to talk to me about my daughters. It was a bit of a shock, because my daughters are actually quite good, well, two of them were anyhow. But really what he wanted to do was talk to me about the Board of Management of Salerno, and that man was Ray O'Connor, my predecessor in the board as chairperson. Thus began my journey with Salerno, And it's been quite a journey. It's been a very fulfilling journey. I met many very good people. I met a whole tranche of people that I would never have met. People like Paul and Eilish, and indeed Gerard and the entire JM community, who I would not have met before. And I am very glad that I have. It has been a fantastic experience. It's very difficult being an educator. It's even more difficult being an educator and trying to build a building at the same time. And I'm delighted that I've actually been given the opportunity to assist. And that's all I did, was assist. The work was largely done before I arrived, and indeed the work will continue when I'm gone. Just to give you a little flavour of the people that were involved, when over 10 years ago, Declan Malloy, who was the architect at the time, we explored many, many options. In fact, we were quite successful in that we ended up with planning permission for the classroom block and a sports hall. However, the department in its wisdom don't fund sports halls, but we managed to build the classrooms with the help of various other people. And indeed, it's fitting also that the Reverend Bishop is here today, because the previous Bishop, Mrs. Brennan, and St. Ennis helped us with some land, without which we would not be here, or this hall would not be here, because it's partially in St. Ennis. That was. And for that, I thank you. There are wonderful people in construction as well. And I'd like to acknowledge here, especially Brendan Slevin, John Britton, and Matt Fox, who were the design team on this wonderful project. And indeed, the entire Sprung team. Michael Weir is here, and I'm delighted that he was able to come. It's a fantastic building, very innovative. It stands to purpose. You'll notice at the moment there's no artificial lights on, it's all natural. It's very bright, it's airy, and it does the job. Thank you indeed, Michael, for all your help in this project. To end, and Peter, I wish you the very best of luck. I know that you're running this hall very well. The teachers are running it extremely well. The P&E teachers, and I think the students are enjoying it, which is wonderful. There was one particular seminal moment during the when this was going through, and it was when at one point we had some money. It had been gathered for a long, long time, and we decided we have to do something, we have to build something. And it was decided at one stage, or it was proposed at one stage, that we would build 4 rooms that would be used for PE. The teachers were surveyed on this matter, as indeed some others were. And the result of that survey gave us, me personally, great encouragement, because they said, no, we're either building a full hall or we're not building anything. And that's those sort of decisions that make a community. And I've listened here today about all the stories from the last over 20 years, and it is remarkable, the achievement and the consolidation in the community of Salerno that has been achieved. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful to be part of it. I'd just like, in conclusion, to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be of assistance to you, and to wish Katrina the very best into the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you for keeping an eye on those builders for all those days and years. I'm going to introduce now, we're going to look at 2 very diverse acts. We have a gymnastics display, and then we have a song for you. So 2 completely contrasting acts from some of our star pupils. So sit back and enjoy this little moment of entertainment. To start us off, our gymnasts, Jane Heffernan and Kate Malloy, who, as I said already, train in the Olympic Star Squad and compete in many international competitions on the world stage. And as I said, they train up to 26 hours a week, but that will show when you see what they are able to do. They particularly loved Belgium on their travels, but we're much happier when they're home here with us. So, Jane and Kate, the floor is yours. To the stage. Doris, winner of the Salerno Stars, still enjoying her success from winning the competition before the Easter break. So Doris Ossobohan will sing for us now. Thank you.
Change all my colors for you. Take my love, I'll never ask for too much. Just all that you are and everything that you do. I don't really need to look very much further. I don't want to have to go where you don't follow. I won't hold it back again. This passion inside, I can't run from myself. There's strength of your love. I never knew love like I've known it with you. Will a memory survive? Only one I can hold on to. I don't really need to look very much further. I don't want to have to go where you don't follow. I won't hold it back again. This passion inside, I can't run from myself. There's nowhere to hide. Your love I remember forever. And don't make me close one more door. I don't wanna hurt anymore. Stay in my arms if you dare. I must stay imagine you there. Don't walk away from me. I have nothing, nothing, nothing if I don't have you.
Thank you, Doris. Our next distinguished guest is the Most Reverend Bishop of Galway, Brendan Kelly. Though he spent many years next door, he says this is his first time in Salerno. I'm surprised you didn't pop in to see us at some stage before this. You had to wait to be formally welcomed. So here we are, formally welcoming you, and most happy to do so. Bishop, I'm going to invite you to say a few words, and then the Bishop will perform a ritual and will bless the facility for us.
In all my finery. In order to honour what is an occasion that has to be honoured. And I never realised how much until I heard all the speakers and saw the performers. So I'm really glad to be here. Tá mé Harvey Sosta, go with me and quit it. Is go mad with Gerardas. Zachnan Christian Hurtum. Chame Lianta Father, Snashachti, Ranumach, piece of talent. I spent many years in the 1970s. I slept the first floor of Colosseum as it used to be in those days, and looked out on this land when it was ours. Not indeed in those days that I had the slightest interest in the land or in who it belonged to, because I was a young teacher and I loved every single minute of my time in Colosseum and subsequently in North. And I'm really happy to be here. I love coming back to schools. I can't say that I love it because of the teachers, but I do love it because of the pupils. I get an adrenaline rush when I see a group of teenagers in front of me. Still to this day, nothing to give you life. Every teacher that's worth their salt knows this. Nothing to give you life like young teenagers. So I'm so happy to see then that you're all here today, because you're the people who should be here. It's for you all this effort is put in. I was delighted to hear the history of of the school, or not of the school, but of this project, I was in amazement. I have to say, Maria, you're not the only one that gets a little bit emotional on occasions like this. Of course, you'd be no daughter of your father and mother if you didn't get emotional. I was taught by Maria's father, and I was a colleague of his in Carrashtania for several years as a teacher. He was a teaching colleague of mine, and he was his daughter, I can tell you, he's very much alive. That's for sure, in his daughter, and I'm delighted to be here today, as I say. But what really struck me in the course of, there were two words that came to me all during the speeches that were here before me. The first one was voluntary. This is a voluntary school, and long may we survive as voluntary schools. What I mean by that is, what makes this community, that was the second word Michael used, to use that word community, so vital, so in many ways countercultural today in these times of individualism. But how vital these two words are. This time of, when we expect everything from the government, but let's not be looking for everything from the government. Let's put our shoulder to the wheel ourselves. That's what happened here. That's what happened here. That's what we're about. People came together for 20 years. It's extraordinary. And kept the dream alive and realised it. But look what happened in the meantime. It is the journey that matters, not the destination. Although the destination matters to all of us. But if you know it's the journey that matters, you'll never lose hope. Keep your eye on and all you need is people like Gerarda, keep their eye on the ball, on the destination. And the rest of us put our shoulder to the wheel. It's wonderful. Congratulations. I really do want to offer a word of congratulations to you on all that you have achieved, and all that you have done for these young people and the generations to come. And in the course of all of that, what happened? Bonds, friendships, community created and made. Not because people were getting paid for something, but because their hearts were in it and they knew it was right and they knew it was the best thing for the young people. So it's not always the money that matters. Let's never forget it. That's why I'm delighted to be here today now, to ask the good Lord to bless this place, as he has clearly blessed the journey towards this day. And all of those people so rightly mentioned in the course of it, who played their part. I was delighted in the video, I have to say, to see that it was a great part of this was all done by the girls, by the pupils of the school, the young people. Congratulations to you especially. I hope you get great worth and benefit from this great project and this resultant, magnificent. I was told I was going to bless Sports Hall. When I looked up Salerno on Google, I got Sports Dome. This is a dome. And it's magnificent. And I just want to say I'm so happy to be with you today. So, we come to ask God's blessing on this magnificent new sports and fitness facility, on the pupils who will use it, on the teachers, and on all those who will come here. There's a wonderful phrase of St. Paul's which I've been using a lot recently, or it's coming up all the time, and I do confirmations. Do you not realize that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit? So your body is beautiful. It's magnificent. I don't care what sort of a body it is. It's beautiful. One body is as good as another. That's what St. Paul said long ago. So the physical body given to us is precious beyond price, and we must take care of it. We must keep it well and fit and healthy. And for all of this, good exercise, of course, is essential. That's the gift of sport and physical exercise of all sorts. And of all that this fine new facility was built for. Men's sana, in corpore sana. You don't remember your Latin? No healthy minds without healthy bodies, really is what it's saying. We need both. We need our education to be holistic, but above all to be wholesome. That's what our Catholic schools are built for, so that our education be holistic and wholesome. The body is beautiful, chosen by God, the incarnation. Let's never forget it. So God our Father, we thank you for the health of mind and body that we enjoy. We thank you for all our physical capacities and the joy that sport and fitness bring us. We are grateful for all the opportunities this beautiful new facility will bring to all who use it and enjoy it. We bless you today for all who have worked so hard to bring this project to completion. We remember the board of management, the staff, the teachers, the pupils, the Acada Trust, parents, contractors and workers, and everybody who has been involved for 20 years. And we pray for all who will come here to use and to enjoy it in the years ahead. Mar sin iarmuid ort the vannacht a chuir an halas sport vrou nua seo. May the Holy Trinity bless this new sports hall. May Mary, the Mother of Jesus, bless it, and our Mother. May Saint Michael the Archangel bless this hall. May the holy apostles and martyrs bless this hall. May Saint Claudine Thevenet, our holy patron here today, bless this hall. Every door and window, every floor and ceiling, every piece of equipment, every brick and block, every teacher and pupil, and all who will use this facility. May the great King and Creator keep us safe here always. May His Son, Jesus, our friend and Lord, pour out His love and care upon us. May the Holy Spirit fill us with wisdom and love for truth. May we and our school be a place that gives life and enables us to achieve life to the full in good health, in peace and in joy. Agus mar sin banniam an halas sport nua seo, agus iarm bannach dé ila chuachtaí, ahir, mach agus spirit níomh an hala álainn sport seo. Iarmuid é sin trí Christ our dearna. Amen. Agus bannaménis an artifad é hiisce banna.
What an appropriate ritual, and what a lovely blessing. And we're very grateful, Reverend Bishop Brendan, for your time and your blessing on us and on the hall and all who will use it. The next man to say a few words, ironically, his name is Paul Meany. And you see, he was kind of the fella who had his hand on the purse for a long, long time. So I never really knew what he looked like, but Gerarda sometimes would be kind of giving out about him in the office. And so in my own head I was thinking, this fella is a right meanie for sure. And his face, of course, wouldn't be so familiar to us all as some of the guests here today. So I'm going to introduce Paul Meany as a recently retired principal of Marian College in Dublin, the Irish representative in Europe for Catholic schools, chair of Basketball Ireland and Mr. Basketball Ireland for many, many years, and the holder of the purse for the Michaela Trust. And you know something, Paul Meany, I don't think you're that mean anymore. Welcome.
What an introduction. I would point out my name in Irish is Unweenig, which is the same as Mooney, so we are actually, in that sense, related to each other. A few minutes ago, when it was indicated that there were two acts which were quite different from each other coming up, I thought it was Bishop Kelly and myself were being related, and I said, how am I a very different act than the Bishop? Also, if we're late, it's not been my fault up to this point, okay, but I will be brief. In the honour that Gerarda gave me to officially open this wonderful facility, and in thinking about what I would say, a phrase from Helen Keller came to my mind, which is one of her quotes. She says, "Hope sees the invisible, feels the intangible, and achieves the impossible." And I think that symbolises in many ways, there have been many days over those last number of years where you've wondered whether this was an impossible dream, and yet you are here wonderfully today. The boards of management who have been outlined, their belief that sports and PE are important, vital for young people in today's Ireland, was one of the things that led them on. And isn't it really ironic that we have a government that is introducing physical education as an exam subject in the Leaving Cert, yet decides that it will not provide facilities for physical education in the Leaving Cert. But as Brendan said, you have been a voluntary school that has achieved what you have. We, the Michaela Trust, are very happy to be here. I'm here with the Executive Director, Ailish Humphreys. We represent now 14 congregations, and we represent 62 schools. And why was Michaela set up? It was to ensure that as the number of religious, unfortunately, decline in number in Ireland, we are the future, if you like, for Catholic voluntary education. And at this point I would pay tribute to, of course, your own congregation, who have done such a wonderful job in education since Salerno was founded many, many years ago. As was outlined, my day job was principal at Marian College up until last summer. And I've known Gerarda for years because we were colleagues together. And what was I trying to do for the last 10 or 15 years was build a sports hall in Marian College. So here I was in my role as chair, as she's indicated, of the Shield Board of Michaela, which is responsible for the monies that the congregation have given us to run the trust into the future. And here I was saying, on the one hand, to them, this is what you've got to do, and blah, 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 because we have to be careful with the money, when I was saying exactly the same thing on the other side of the table to my own trustees. So When Paul met Gerarda, it was old friends, but a new relationship. And Michael, when the two of them came into us, and there was several meetings we had about the future here, it was very much what came through to us was this whole belief and commitment that this was going to happen. There was not this might happen, this is going to happen. And it was a question of, are you, Lakayla, going to get involved with us or not, so to speak? But we believe in this project, we believe in our schools, we wanted to do so, we had to check the figures, and we had to talk about risk. But in the end, we said, things are not going to happen unless people take a risk. Somebody's got to make a move here. So we were delighted to make a move, and we gave a commitment to guarantee a loan to the project, and we were delighted to do so. So Gerarda and Michael then, there's a cliche in life, which is that when you're trying to organise something, you have to get your ducks in a row. They didn't just have to get the ducks in a row, they had to find the ducks, they had to bring them to some place together, and then they had to get them to fly together, because one of the problems when you don't have a single donor for a facility like this is one bit might be ready and then another bit has to be gotten ready. And they've outlined here today the fundraising, fantastic job. We played our role with the guarantee, the bank, at the AIB Bank, Sharon Egan, who's been mentioned. Then the department, or sorry, if she hasn't been mentioned, I'd like to mention her, because at a time when many banks are, there's a doubt about various aspects of them, I think from our point of view, and I think from Gerarda's, the support that was gotten there at the time was very, very important. We also had the Department of Education, etc., etc. And just as those ducks were ready to take off in the final moments, we had Sister Mary Mulrooney from the congregation, the Jesus and Mary, was able to come in and be most helpful. So the leadership that has been given here has been mentioned all day, and I think once again, just before I officially open do whatever I have to do here in officially opening, I'd ask you once again to put your hands together for Sister Gerarda without doing She and Michael and the boards have exemplified T.S. Eliot's phrase. He says, only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far it is possible to go. And they have gone way beyond probably what they thought possible with this beautiful building. I've been hugely impressed as a school principal and as a leader of the trust with the atmosphere here today. It's been absolutely fantastic. The support you girls gave to the other girls who either were in the acts or the sports people. And I particularly congratulate those basketball players, because that's my own sport and I know it well. And I know that somebody getting on the Irish under-16 basketball team is a huge achievement. Some people might think that basketball is still a relatively minority sport within Ireland, but the quality of women's basketball particularly is huge, and the competition to get on Irish teams now is amazing. The under-18s were champions last summer, and so well done particularly to those, but to all of those girls who've done the success. It is fascinating to have a facility like this finally available. I know the PE teachers are delighted with it, Claire and Jerry, who I met earlier on. Their belief in the importance of well-being through sport is obvious, and I hope that the achievement of this project and the use of this wonderful sports hall will be a testimony to all those hours and hours and years of work that have been put in to make this possible. So without further ado, I believe I'm to go somewhere and to do cutting of a sermon.
all. So we're officially blessed and we're officially opened. Okay, it's funny how things happen. And as we were preparing for this day, a past pupil made contact, wanting to present the school with a Perpetual Sports Award in honour of her friend, the late Laura Thornton. And this kind of came out of the blue, but tied in with this fabulous day. So we are taking this moment to acknowledge the generous act. And we are delighted to have Laura's sister Sarah here with us today. But first, we have a 2-minute, literally a 2-minute video from Erin Ryan, Laura's friend, who's in Sydney at the minute, and whose idea it was to acknowledge her friend and to honour her with this award. And again, for those who remember the old Late Late, roll it there, Colette.
Hi, my name is Erin Ryan, and I left Salerno in 1995. I was an avid hockey player, I really enjoyed my time in Salerno, and now I live in Sydney. The reason I'm sending you this message is to announce a new Sports Star Award to honour a past pupil that sadly passed away in 2010. Her name is Laura Thornton, a local girl from Sawtill who was an exceptional sports star. Laura was only 32 when she passed away while on holiday in Africa, and her past Salerno school friends want to help set up an annual sports award in memory of her. Laura was a classmate, teammate and friend to many. She played squash, hockey and tennis to name a few, and she excelled at all sports, including triathlon. She played at Ireland and Connacht representative levels many times for various sports. She was known to be the fastest, the fittest and the highest goal scorer. All of us looked up to her because she was such an outstanding athlete and person. Not only was Laura a brilliant teammate to all of us, she was known for her sportsmanship and positivity. While she left school, she was a businesswoman, healer and health advocate and brought a ray of light wherever she went. She's missed by many people. She was always smiling and sport was a major part of who she was because she loved challenges and spending time with others. She was creative, musical and a fun person to be around. We hope that the person who receives this award shares the same sportsmanship ethos and has the energy that Laura had. An important contributor to Salerno's sporting achievements, but also a person who values and supports, cares for all of those around her. This award is a recognition of someone who is excellent in their chosen sport and who innately believes that being active is a way of life and the path to good health, happiness and a sense of well-being. This award will be presented to the selected student later in the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. So it's my pleasure to introduce Sarah Thornton, Laura's sister. Sarah, a past pupil who lives in Knocknacarra, another international sports star, played international squash and provincial tennis and hockey, and comes from a very sporting family indeed. Laura and Sarah's parents are abroad at the moment and are sorry to be missing this day, but Sarah will acknowledge the moment and speak for them. Thank you.
To say I'm really delighted that I'm here today. I probably wouldn't have been here if this award wasn't being announced because I have young kids and work and all that. But I'm just so happy to be here. I'm part of this fabulous celebration, and I know why. I'm very proud of being a Salerno girl. It's wonderful. Thank you. So about the award, Erin, she has done a fabulous job at summing up Laura. She was the fastest, she didn't care really about being the fastest, fittest, the biggest goal scorer. It wasn't all about that. It was all about what was important to her was participation, involvement, inclusion, she really loved people, loved being around them, always wanted to have good fun with them, and, she always included people if there was anything happening, anything going on. It was, including the wider people, not just those that were immediately involved. She, when she asked, "How are you?" she really meant it, and yeah, she was all about fun as well. She always lightened any kind of serious situation, and She always, don't get me wrong, she was focused, she was determined, she liked to win, she had a good competitive streak about her, but she always took that with a pinch of salt and always made sure that there was good spirit behind it all. This award, I think, really, for me, when I first heard about it, I thought this is a lovely story of friendship, really. And friendship that has started in this school. They were schoolmates together, they played hockey together, and it was a friendship that grew on the many trips, on the bus to hockey matches, and the wins and the losses, going through their exams, everything, and after school. It just goes to show that, how important it is to appreciate the friendships that you're developing now in school, and you don't know where they might lead and how they go. So, and how important it is to appreciate all the moments with each other. So, on behalf of my family, my parents, as Marie said, that are away, unfortunately had booked their holiday abroad before we knew about this date, and they're really disappointed to be here. So I have them and my brothers who are abroad, they live abroad as well. I'd like to say a huge thank you to Erin for really, thinking of Laura in this situation. Laura would be mortified if she thought, my God, to be honoured in this way. But she'd be silently chuffed as well. She'd love it, of course. We all would. And also thank you to Gerard and Salerno for supporting this. It gives a family who's lost somebody so young comfort that her name will live on in this way. Her memory, her spirit, her personality will be encapsulated in this lovely award, especially through sport as well, because we were such a sporting family. And it's also a double honour to be linked with this fabulous opening and this big ceremony here. So thank you very much for supporting this. Just want to say a huge congratulations to Salerno as well for this fabulous dome. I'm just looking at it. I'm so jealous. We'd love to have had it. Tom to Vicky here, we're thinking, oh my God, we'd love it when we were here. And we remember the gravel pitch we used to play hockey on and open to all the elements. And it wasn't the full-size pitch. We had to make do when we were practicing our short corners and all that. But it is fabulous. It is such an achievement, and to be very proud of yourselves for achieving it. And so we look forward, and just going back to the award, we look forward to presenting it whenever the chosen person will be selected at the end of this year. Other than that, the gorgeous agus gur maga.
Sarah, and thank you for the award and for your presence here today and for your good wishes. Niamh Kavanagh would like to present you with the bouquet. Thank you. There are 4 other people who really deserve a bouquet today. 4 other people who need to be mentioned and honoured, and we'd like to thank them. So Fiona, Gillian, Jean and Grace are going to bring out the bouquets. The first person is Eilish Humphreys from Lekela. We would like to honour you, Eilish. Executive Officer of the Lekela Sports Trust. Thank you for all you have done in getting the sports hall to this point. June Smith, whose mammoth fundraising played such a huge part in achieving this. Thank you, June. Margie Connolly, the former deputy principal, who drove the 50-50 for 3 years. And of course, our principal. No bouquet could ever be big enough, Gerarda, Sister Gerarda Lawler. Thank you, Grace. So many people need to be thanked today. So thank you to all the organisers, to Peter Heffernan of the Board of Management and the Galway Advertiser, Claire Hogan, Ciara Lyons, Ken Kennedy, Jerry Heaney, Claire Daly, Sister Angela, Carol Dunleavy, Brian Fogarty, all the staff who've played such a big part. To Peter, our plant manager, John, our caretaker, Barbara and her cleaning staff, Sarah and Niall, the Salt Hill Hotel and the Galway Bay Hotel for the chairs, NUIG for the podium, Father Paul Connell for the floor you're sitting on or standing on. Thank you to everyone who played their part. Just before we come to the choir, Sister Mary Mulrooney, Provincial of the Jesus and Mary Sisters, would like to say a few words. I'll ask her to come up. As Mary makes her way, Sister Mary makes her way, I won't come up again before the choir. I'll just beckon them on and we'll let them go. But I ask you to pay particular attention to the second song that the choir are going to sing, because there are so many words in it that mean so much. Listen and it'll become clear. A whole lot of time, patience, money to do it right. But I'll leave that for the choir. But first of all, I want to welcome Sister Mary Mulrooney to the stage.
Good afternoon, everybody, and particularly Bishop Kelly and your secretary, distinguished guests, we're all here, Gerarda, of course, and all the JN sisters, especially your community and the community in Castle Park, and Sister Anne, who travelled from Dublin with me. It's great to see the former board chairperson, Michael in particular, whom I met, and Ray previously. Also former colleagues, special word to Margie, and to all the great acts and were done today. But not only that, it's the presence of the present staff, past staff, neighbours, friends, and the present students. It is your dome, there is no doubt, and I want you to really enjoy everything about it in all parts of life. I think it is I want to say a special word to Dr. Eilish Humphreys and to Paul from the Michaela Trust. We are in a very, very good trust as a Jesus and Mary Schools in Ireland, and I think this is a fantastic moment on behalf of all educators, and particularly those of us who really embody and try to pass on our Jesus and Mary ethos through the years. It's in fantastic hands, I have no doubt about that. So on behalf of the sisters in Ireland and the leadership team, I really find it a great, great pleasure to be here today. I want to congratulate Gerard especially and her staff and all who worked so tirelessly, including Michael and the design team, the building team, everybody who has brought this beautiful dome to fruition. I think it's come a long, long way, and it's gone back such a long time. From River Road, where I started out, and to the new Salerno, thought we were wonderful in 1980 to get the land and to really have built there. It was absolutely fantastic, and now to have the added piece. Thank you very much on behalf of the diocese. On behalf of JN, I say thank you, because we cannot really get on in life without cooperation and without good neighbourliness and good spirit, and that's really what we are all about. I think Claudian spirit is very, very alive when you come in here. I think that whole ethos of JM is very, very palpable, and I can see it in the students so much. It's lovely to see Sister Angela here, and Maria, who still come to Salerno every week, and Angela as chaplain is here every day, which is wonderful. I suppose really, on that note, as long as it's an inclusive, and that's what it is, the inclusive education, and that I see other principals here are inculcating the same thing in staff, in students for the future. It is an inclusive education. It caters for the whole child. It is holistic. We cater for the emotional, educational, intellectual, spiritual, and now this beautiful physical sport level as well. So thank you to the lovely girls who did that the gymnasts, and thank you very much. And thank you to the lovely solo singer as well, and to the choir that's coming. So it just leaves me to say again, well done on a long journey of fundraising to everybody who took part and continue this excellence you have begun in Salerno. Cocorges, Gagafena, and Verbua. Praise forever be Jesus and Mary.
few notes it was. I just want to pay tribute to the choir who absolutely, definitely made me emotional today and during the week when they were rehearsing. They're amazing. They come from every class group in the school. They practice on their own time, in lunchtime. They're never out of class to do this. It's just because they want to sing. And with that too, I pay tribute to Carmel Doolan and Mark Holton, who conduct and accompany them. So thank you, guys, and thank you, Carmel and Mark. And I think it's almost time to pop the teacups. So thank you all very, very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To tea.